This demo is an introduction to the project Ede, also known as the Evolving Drawing Editor. Ede was a graduation project at Utrecht University for the Bachelor of Computer Sciences built by the team The Stars Text. Ede is a drawing editor intended for the creation of scientific figures. As you can see, there's a wide selection of different shapes, each with their own shortcut that you can use to draw your own figures. I can draw, for example, a rectangle, a circle, I've got a spline, or a vertex. When I select a shape, you can see that it has a number of control points. Each shape has its own set of control points you can use to redefine the form of that shape. By clicking here, every control point will be visible at once. Most of the shapes also have a middle control point, which I can use to move it. When I select one or multiple shapes, a new control point shows up, which you can use to move all selected shape. I can also snap different shapes. There are 3 different ways of snapping. I can snap to control points, I can snap to an edge, or I can snap to an intersection. When I snap to a control point, the 2 shapes will share that point. When I snap to an edge, the control point is stuck to that edge. And by snapping to an intersection, the control point will follow that intersection point. Each shape has a list of properties that you can use to adjust the shape. For example, you can turn on the color of the fill. Some properties have a list of different predefined options that you can choose from. For example, yellow. If you don't like the way the color is defined, you can always adjust this. For example, I prefer my yellow to be this lighter color. If your preferred option isn't in the list, you can always make your own option. For example, I'd like to make a pink color, so I'll call this color pink and change the color to one that matches what I want it to be. I save and apply, and I can find the color in the list. Now, the pink is also an option to set my colors. If I want to be able to come back to a drawing at a later point, I can save the drawing. When I'm not logged in, I can export the workspace into an Ede file, which I will be able to open at a later point. I can also choose to log in. When I'm logged in, I'll be able to open my dashboard. Within my dashboard, I can see all my current drawings. For example, this example drawing. Within an example drawing, there is a wide number of different shapes you can use within Ede. For this drawing, I've also used a number of different layers. If I open the panel on the right here, you can see the different layers. For example, I've got one for lines, I've got one for text, and one for notes. If you're done with your drawing, you are able to export it to an image using the export function. In this case, I'd like to make an SVG. When I open this, you can see the minimum bounding box of the figure has been exported. When you export, only the visible views will be exported. When I export as a PDF, I can also export using the view option. When I make a view, I can select each node that I want within that view. In my first view, I decide I want only the nodes. I want the second view that also has lines, a third with everything, and my last one I'd like to only have the text. Having made the views, I would like to export to the PDF. But this time I would prefer to export the entire page instead of only the minimum bounding box. If I export to PDF now, as you can see, each view has a different page. As you can see, apart from layers and views, there are also pages. When opening a new page, I can start an entire new drawing with different layers and different views. This way, I can show multiple figures within the same project. Apart from working on my own, I can also work together with someone else on a project. By selecting shared with me, I can see that I have a canvas that is shared with me by a different user. On the right side you see the dashboard of a different user. As you can see, it has the same chat canvas. Right now, live correlation is still in development. What does work is smoothing shapes, but that's about all of it. If I were to change the color of the shape, for example, to white or to dark blue, the change does not update on the left side. However, what I can do is save it on one side and refresh the page on the other. That way, I will be able to see the changes made. Since there are a lot of different features, we've created a user guide to help the user getting started. On this page, you can find information about pretty much every feature within the project. Apart from the user guide, there's also extensive documentation about the code itself. This is to help new developers get started. After all, EDE is supposed to be extensible and always evolving. This was the introduction to the evolving drawing editor. Thank you for watching.